So we really try to give end-to-end care, not necessarily replacing a hospital, but what we're looking to do is to free up a hospital for what they're really needed for, which is actual urgent care, like true medicine. We'll start building your patient database for you. We'll train you, we'll give you the software. You could be prescribing as a Romanian doctor throughout all of Europe. You could actually be on vacation and still be able to do a job.
Let's use the rose-colored glasses.
I really feel that AI should be used as a tool to augment the providers. I don't think we should ever really take out the human element from medicine. How many people actually want to speak on the phone? Very few. I don't want to lose humanity. I don't want to lose that human touch and that human connection.
Charles Gedeon builds technology that bridges everyday struggles with real solutions. From telemedicine in Romania to restaurant tech and US healthcare, his ventures, Medicul Online, Curator, and Prescribery, make care and operations simpler, faster, and more human. Rooted in a love for innovation and cuisine, he believes technology works best when it serves people's most human needs.
I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me on, gentlemen. Pleasure.
Charles, before we go into the tech, and I'm pretty sure my partner Emil here in crime has some wonderful details question about that. I would like to know, who is Charles? Who's the man?
Originally I was born and raised in San Francisco. Spent most of my life in tech startups, primarily in the very beginning in real estate technology and financial technology. Years later, I found myself in Romania coming on a 3-month vacation to visit my family who lives here. This was back in, I believe, the early or late 2019, 2018. And I just fell in love with the country, fell in love with the people, the food, the culture. And I ended up going to ASE, staying here for 4 years, pursuing my education. And then about 4 or 5 years later, returned back to the States, finished a master's degree there, and had always promised myself I'd find some way to kind of find my way back. And fortunately, some upsides of COVID allowed me to make my business fully remote. And 3 years ago, I was able to move back to Romania and pursue my next businesses here.
And how has been this personal journey for you in terms of career movements, but also cultural changes?
Culturally, it hasn't been very hard. I have several of my relatives they've married in Romania. I have several cousins who live here as well. I'm originally Middle Eastern, originally from Palestine. Our cultures are very similar in many ways. How we treat family dynamics, food, we always revolve around food, and it's very much the same in Romania. It's always felt like home. So it wasn't really a hard transition to come back. I had already learned Romanian, how to speak, read, and write. So it was an easy transition back home, if you will. This very much feels like home to me. So that part wasn't hard. The relearning business for the European market was a little bit of a challenge, but still young enough to have a few challenges left. So it's been a good journey.
I know that you've just launched a platform right now, Medicul Online.
Correct, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it and what it's doing?
Of course. So, one of the struggles I learned primarily when my daughter was born a few years back was seeing how the hospital systems worked here. And we had the same struggle in the U.S. where you have long wait times, very hard time to access medical services or medications that you need that are you don't need a brick and mortar hospital to do. And we had been doing this for several companies in the U.S. over the last 10, 15 years, and I thought there was an opening in this market as well. So what we decided to pursue was to actually create, essentially replicate and change our platform to meet and localize to the Romanian market. And from there, what we started doing was making deals with doctors, educational institutes to allow us to grow a providers network, providers meaning doctors, nurses, therapists, to be able to kind of build that infrastructure that you need for proper patient care. And then working with different pharmacies to actually produce direct to consumer. What our platform would allow us to do was to essentially allow a patient to not have to go to a brick and mortar hospital. They could just go online, sign up, fill out an actual medical questionnaire that's been approved by the medical doctors here in Romania. That then is either approved or denied for a certain medication or a specific type of treatment plan that they're looking for. Then our pharmacy partners will actually reach out and deliver either same day or next day to that patient directly to their home or office. And then they can actually then continue their treatment consultations. If that treatment plan requires a nutritionist or some type of health coach or therapy, our platform will automate all of that process for them as well. So we really try to give end-to-end care, not necessarily replacing a hospital, but what we're looking to do is to free up a hospital for what they're really needed for, which is actual urgent care, like true medicine. Not necessarily going in because they need a medication for a skin rash, which then ends up clogging a waiting room for 3-4 hours, and then you just see nothing but frustration. So that's what we were looking to do, is to really kind of to allow people who wouldn't normally have access to medication or normally don't even want to take the effort, because a single day is what they would need to take off. You're taking off a day to go drive 15-20 minutes, find parking, sit down in the waiting room. Hopefully in 2-3 hours you get service for something that literally could have taken 5 minutes.
So for the users, this is reducing the amount of friction that they experience in getting their medicines.
Correct. And or treatments.
And or treatments.
Correct.
What were the frictions that you have encountered while developing this business?
It's, Romania is very similar to the Middle East in the sense that no one loves going to hospitals. Mm-hmm. No one really loves doctors, even though you love them when you need them. So trying to make that, again, something that was so easy that the person didn't feel the fear or the friction to go there. They felt a sense of anonymity where they did not feel that everyone was going to know what was going on. A lot of the times people, when they start getting certain medications or treatments, whether it's weight loss or hypertension, they want their privacy. Maintaining that privacy was the utmost for us. Mm-hmm. But also the further education of the actual doctors. Explaining to them that it doesn't have to be the traditional way that you view medicine. You don't have to go to a brick and mortar. You don't necessarily need to see a patient face to face for a set of symptoms, right? So if you look at a hospital, primarily about 60 to 65% of what patients go in for could actually just be done over the phone. You see this with companies like Regina Maria, MetLife, and so forth, where they have a telemedicine branch. For those, you actually have to pay. Mm-hmm. The barrier of entry is very high. And so you find people having to pay a monthly subscription just to be able to access that versus just being able to.
I do not know enough about the market, but in the telemedicine that is offered by Regina Maria or other similar brands, are they also doing prescriptions and fulfilling prescriptions as a result?
No, and this is where, for what we've been doing for so long now in the States, we've kind of realized that it's really the end-to-end. A hospital will typically come to you and say, okay, you're a patient, you come in, we prescribe, you take this medication, you go where you'd like. It's your choice, right? Mm-hmm. That opens up about 3 to 4 major problems, right? One is the patient's getting a script, they are able to adjust it, they're able to copy it. You don't really know what you're tracking at that point. That's a negative benefit. The other problems that you're going to be looking at is the patients, the majority of the time, if they're coming in for telemedicine, are coming in because they don't have the time to go somewhere, or they don't have the ability, especially if you're living in a remote area where you're 30, 40, 50 minutes outside of Bucharest. You possibly don't have a pharmacy within 5 minutes. We're very blessed here in Romania, and especially in Bucharest. Yeah. Primarily, you can be in almost any piazza and find 4 or 5 pharmacies available 24 hours a day.
We have an excess of pharmacies.
Very much so, but I promise you it's better than an excess of liquor stores and gun stores.
Okay.
So there's a positive here, I promise you. So it's that part of it is the issue. So if you're a patient and you're using a telemedicine service, let's just say through a Regina Maria, but you want to get fulfillment, you're not able to. You're not getting the most competitive pricing majority of the time. It's not really saving you anything except for the consultation portion. What we're looking at is a true end-to-end vision, right? And then understanding exactly how that's done. So the patient starts with us, and we're able to track from the beginning that patient, who they're meeting with, what medication they're on. We have the pharmacy partners that are shipping, so we know that they're not altering these scripts. They're not getting multiple versions of that medication. They're getting exactly what the doctor prescribed, not a version that the pharmacist chooses to change at the very end. It's truly providing the most, if you'd want to say, the transparent, but also structured proper healthcare, where at each point where something can be changed or lost, we stop that. So if the doctor prescribed a certain medication, that is what the patient is going to get. It isn't going to be altered prior. It's not going to be altered at the pharmacy. It's not going to be altered after. And it's giving that true end-to-end, especially with lab cases. If people need blood work, anything of that sort. We handle that all through integrations direct with our different partners.
So instead of the prescription going through a lot of hands where things might change, it is going directly through your systems in order to be 100% guaranteed that is accurate to the originating intent.
Correct. We have a high level of encryption on scripts, similar to what we use in the US, where we're actually transmitting that script directly to the pharmacy software into the system. So the pharmacists themselves aren't even transcribing. It's going directly from software to software.
Okay.
And so for the pharmacy side, it's essentially like very much like a drop ship method. Where
So
they're getting
no involvement from them in terms of manpower.
the only involvement they have, and this is where it becomes critical in what our software does. So if you look at this, the first thing is when a patient signs up, you have to qualify them, right? Now you're signing up on an online platform. You can lie about several things, IDs and so forth.
Yeah.
We use a lot of integrations within government agencies, within different validation softwares and systems. So we are actually scanning your IDs when you upload. We're verifying that against the government's database within Romania. We're validating your email, validating your phone number, your address, every possible piece of information prior to the doctor even seeing you. So when the doctor is actually meeting with this patient, they know 100% that this patient has already signed all the proper terms of service, and who I'm speaking with and who I'm dealing with is exactly who I'm supposed to be. That same data then is transferred directly to the pharmacy. So with the pharmacy side, when they choose to call and take payment from that patient, the pharmacist is already also covered by everything that we've done. We've taken the responsibility to ensure that you are 100% getting a patient that is the right, clear, verified patient. And so we eliminate risk.
Does the system cover also the situations when the medicine is subsidized by the state?
This part we're still working on. So as for launch right now, we're looking at seamlessly, basically looking at just cash pay. We're looking to hopefully within year one, if our concept is proven, is to start working with the state. We'd like to be able to have that subsidized. Our mission really is to help the government state hospitals. It's not necessarily, we're not looking to compete. What we're looking to do is to actually to give them the tools that they need where they can service their population correctly without essentially overburdening like their brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And when you look at, because I really like the vision you describe, when you look at the other side, so the hospitals and the public sector, based on what you've encountered so far, where are they on the change curve in terms of, well, yes, we get it. It's also for us a priority. Not yet.
It's a different business model. For them, they're looking to service patients. They're looking to grow and control their doctor's network. They like to do things within their own systems, their own softwares, and they're looking at it as a business that then they sell, right? For us, what we're looking at is we're really trying to virtualize hospital care in a much easier way by giving more to the patient for less. So you don't need to have a subscription. I don't need 800 lei from you each month for you to access what we're offering. You just simply pay 150 lei and you can speak to a doctor now. You're not waiting 3 hours. You're not even waiting 10 minutes. It's instant. That is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are making sure that you have access when you need without the burden of the cost. If you think about what happens now, even though the state is free, even though you're not supposed to pay anything, everyone knows that till this day you still do. You go and you pay. That money at the same time could have been used, you could use half that amount to service the patient in the same way. And at the same time, really freeing up the state hospitals to do what they need to. If you walk in, you see the waiting rooms and the lines. A lot of those people could have been serviced at home. And that's what we're looking at. We're not trying to bring you somewhere. We're trying to buy you the freedom to be able to be serviced where you are. So we are bringing you the medical care. You just have to request it. We don't ask you to come to us.
While building the platform, did you feel the need to use new technologies in any way, like artificial intelligence, blockchain, or anything that?
A majority of it we brought with us from the US. So a lot of the AI that we use is primarily to help doctors with prescribing. So by understanding what the contraindication for different medications, if you're going to prescribe something, knowing what the patient is already on, for instance, everything that they've told you, everything that they've reported, anything that we know is not going to work with a certain medication, we built a lot of conditional logic ahead of time. But our system is also the prescribing EHR. So we're not just the platform that's the CRM to manage the onboarding of a patient, but we're actually the one that is the software that does the prescribing itself. So what we do is we built AI into our system where the provider can simply go, okay, well, I want to prescribe this. He may make an error. Our system will catch that error and let them know, just so you're aware, based on these studies, based on these contraindications, we wouldn't suggest this. It gives them that level of freedom. The thing that you always have to understand when you're in medical care is, especially with technologies, you are a technology platform. You are not a doctor. You have to give a doctor the free will. That's the doctor's right. What we do is we just suggest, based on data that they may not know at that moment in time. A doctor's life is very hectic. They're seeing hundreds of patients in a day. We give them tools just to assist that, hey, maybe I made an error. Maybe I clicked the wrong thing. Maybe I didn't read one line. We help them catch that. The doctor has the right to override if they feel free, but we use AI in that pathway.
So they appear like alerts
Correct.
for them that they need to take under consideration when they pass their judgment on the treatment or on the medicine that they
Correct.
prescribe.
For me, it sounds like, hearing you out, like something like, you remember when you went in the past to the doctor and they always had one assistant there who was doing writing or checking, but this time it's actually having the power to also contradict some of the things that you are saying, because at that moment the assistant wouldn't probably.
Correct. The big thing is always speed, right? So if the AI can do it faster than the assistant having to go back and read and so forth.
And what about the doctors? How do they embrace this?
I can't say enough good things, frankly. Every single provider. One of my partners in the company is actually a doctor as well from Romania. They're very receptive. They're all struggling with the same problems, where they're unable to see enough patients. Their waiting rooms are too long. They want to be able to service more patients. They can't. The service for softwares that they're actually using these days are quite antiquated. A lot of them are not even running on cloud systems. They're not fully integrated. So for instance, with our software, if a doctor in, say, Târgu meets with a patient from Bucharest, and then the next time that patient wants to talk to a doctor from Cluj, all that data is 100% accessible across all of Romania. Not a single doctor is not able to access the previous doctor's notes, the understanding of what that patient did. You're talking about a software that is allowing everyone to actually run transparently with each other. So you're creating a doctor's network, essentially like a virtual hospital, where it's not that I'm in a brick and mortar and I can then pull up that patient file because there's one software that only works in that hospital. Our software works across the whole nation. So any doctor who's on our platform can treat their patients knowing everything that every other person has ever done with that patient. Not just from therapy, not just from doctors, medications, but anything. Any notes that they've taken, any medications that they've taken, new allergies.
I know that in the US there are multiple platforms that are servicing this particular need. Yeah.
Correct.
On the long term, how are you looking? What would be the moat of the business in Romania?
If you wouldn't mind just defining what you mean by
Moat, like your defensible advantage that you would be able to use in order either to block competitors, either to differentiate compared to them, and not be easily competable.
I look at it in this way, right? So anyone who's been in technology as long as I'm sure you have as well,
moats are overrated.
There's no stopping. I love Elon Musk when he goes patents for the week. I genuinely believe that. What would maybe stop someone from being able to say compete, which I really don't think so. I'm looking for competition.
Yeah.
Why we succeed in the US is because there's competition. If you're alone and you have no competition, you likely will not have the success that you're looking for. So I'm looking for it. I think the reason it'll be hard is we've been doing this for 15 years. We've been doing it across multiple countries. We were international before we came to Romania. We were servicing in Japan and London. We know this. We also come from probably the most difficult country to do it in. The amount of rules and regulation, laws and hoops that you have to jump through. Our software has had to adapt because we believe 100% in automation to become actually the most complex. While there's a lot of other softwares in the US, we are the only one that actually offers a 100% automation and solution. Fully customizable. So we have a little bit of an edge there. Why I believe it'll be hard for people to compete with us in Romania is really our vision and our mission here. We're not literally looking at the money. What we're looking at is how can we get every single doctor free on our software. I don't want to charge a doctor for a single thing. I actually want to pay doctors. So I'd like doctors to join us, sign up for free. You don't pay us. We give you the software. Use it at your leisure. You want to use it for our patients? You don't. You want to use it for yours? By all means. If you want to use it as a third, source of income, a lot of the things that we were really looking at when we were dealing with a lot of medical schools was, similar to everywhere in the world. These students go into the medical schools, they rack up a ton of debt, they get out, and then they're working for pennies trying to build up their career. By the time they get where they want to get to, now they're 20, 30 years down the line, and then they finally feel comfortable. We want to change that, right? If you're a medical student and you've graduated and you're saying, okay, I'm ready to prescribe, I'm ready to be a doctor, but I don't have the ability to maybe work in all the clinics I want. Sign up on our platform. It's free. We'll start building your patient database for you. We'll train you. We'll give you the software. You could be prescribing as a Romanian doctor throughout all of Europe. You could actually be on vacation and still be able to do a job. I don't want to say that it's very much an Uber model, but the concept is to essentially allow a doctor to be remote and be able to speak to a patient remotely, but on a software platform that doesn't have any limitations. You don't have to, for instance, if you have patients who are in Germany and they want to submit questionnaires to you, our software will AI translate all of that directly into Romanian or whatever language you would prefer. So you can service all of the EU.
So if you are a specialist in a very specific type of disease, you are able to serve without limiting yourself any kind of nationality or region in the world.
Correct.
That is strong.
Yeah, it is. I was reading, not sure if the accurate figure that I wrote here is that the e-prescribing market has the potential to grow from like 2.6 billion to 19 billion in 2034.
If you're referring to worldwide?
Yeah, worldwide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you see the how do you see your company riding this wave?
Very much like a California boy with a surfboard.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
well, I hope. There's going to be sharks, obviously. People are going to come in. There's going to be big players. I know Hims and Hers recently moved into Europe, into Romania. Not to Romania, forgive me, to Germany. I see the big players now moving out of the U.S. markets and coming into Europe. The regulations in the EU are very similar to the U.S., with a few less that make it a little bit more palatable and easier to do business. And I think the need is here. The interesting part that I find where, while everyone's going to jump into this market, is they're really not taking into consideration the cultural differences from country to country. You'll see certain platforms work, say, in France, that will not do telemedicine because of how well the government actually subsidizes medication and Medicare in general. But what they're looking for is accessibility. It's very hard to find a doctor in France.
Yeah.
So their desire is actually much different than, say, a standard telemedicine brand. They really don't care about, can I get access to the medication? I just want access to the doctor. You go to Germany, I have access to the doctor. I don't have access to the medication easily. So I think that's going to be the interesting part, where you see which telemedicine companies and which brands kind of expand in which countries. Being able to be flexible in that, and having a platform that's flexible in that, and a business model that's flexible in that, is going to be critical. So it's making sure that you have a proper doctors network that's flexible for all countries, a software that can handle the diversification of medication and needs. So with our expansion into France, for instance, we're going through a completely different model. We're not actually worried about fulfillment, right? Fulfillment was a big thing for us. It's very big here in my vision for Romania as well as in Germany. But for our expansion into France, for instance, it's simply that they just want access to the doctors. It's very, very hard.
So practically in France, it's very difficult to obtain an appointment to a
Correct.
doctor.
Correct.
So if you're getting an appointment, it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks ahead.
Correct. And their issue is not necessarily is that they can get that script and automatically get it paid for by the government. That isn't the problem. It's the actual accessibility, and they're even willing to subsidize, for instance, many lifestyle medications. In Romania, there's there's none for lifestyle medications.
So one second, if I'm a patient in France and let's say I go to your platform and I obtain an appointment to a doctor, it may be a Romanian doctor?
It depends. So our system will actually filter out. We have a full automated system that'll figure out. So if you're coming in, say, there's several use cases to look at. So let's just say you're a Romanian living in France, and you prefer to speak to a Romanian doctor. Our system will automatically route you to a Romanian doctor. If you are someone in France, but you prefer to speak to a doctor in France, we have that option as well. But if you prefer to speak to any doctor who's also French as a second language, or first, our system will automatically map you to them as well. So there isn't limitations.
So it's a preference, not a limitation.
Correct.
So
it's a preference, and then also on time, right? So for instance, I need to talk to a doctor now. And I want to do it in the next 5 minutes. I just need to know that they speak French.
Okay.
We're going to open up the floodgates for you at that point to anyone that we know that can speak French within the EU that can service you based on the medication or service you're looking for. So it's also based on what the doctor's trained for. So our system will automatically know based on their treatment, how long they've been in it, how long they've been practicing that type of medicine, for instance.
Is the system able to deal with sensitive type of substances like morphine or things like this?
So so we already fully, it's in the US, it's called Drummond certification. It's for controlled substances.
Yeah.
We've had that certification for about 7 years. We do our audits every year, passed so far, not a problem. But we're actually one of the few. When you're talking about telemedicine platforms, I think we're only one of 2 in the US that can actually do this.
In US, but in Europe, not yet.
In Europe, the restrictions are actually the same, but the law hasn't been put into place. I personally will not be going into that space until I actually see that the legislation is there. It's very sensitive. I take it very seriously with what we do. And so it's a big risk. It's different than someone saying, I'm coming in because I'd like to grow some hair, versus someone saying, hey, I'd like, send me a bottle of morphine.
Yeah.
That's
a very different type of topic.
And until the government is ready, I don't believe that they're against it by any means, but they're really looking to how do we do this safely. And I see that already in the news in Romania. Several ministers are coming out saying that this is something that they want to tackle. I'm very happy to see that because our software very much is something that's prepared for that. You're going to need to have tracking. Prescriptions shouldn't be going, especially controlled directly to a patient. The ability to alter, the ability to essentially lie to the system is still wide open here, as well as most of Europe, unfortunately.
Considering the changes that happen in technology day by day, how do you think the healthcare will be looking like in Romania after 5 years from now?
There's the way I see it with my rose-colored glasses.
Let's
right?
use the rose-colored glasses.
I'm hoping that true telemedicine end-to-end is actually adopted.
Yeah.
I have very high hopes just from the surveys that we've done here, just understanding the people's needs, understanding the cultural wants of how they want to have medical services. I think telemedicine is actually going to pick up. I think it's actually going to pick up much faster in the next 5 years here than probably any market that I've really gone into. I have higher hopes that this market will succeed than ever before, honestly. The way that Romanians traditionally adopt technology is very much, I forget the proper terminology, but it's like first adopters, essentially. I've never met a Romanian in my life that didn't already know about a piece of technology that I thought I was the first, and they had already been on that platform like years ahead of me. So I feel that there's going to be that desire to be like, yes, we're open to try it. At the same time, I do worry that there's going to have to be a little bit of a learning process because the population that really is going to benefit from this isn't the younger generation. The ones that are really going to benefit from this are their parents, their grandparents, the ones who are immobile. I have several friends who, their grandparents are immobile here. They're 45 to an hour out of the city. Every single time they have to take them to the hospital, they're taking 2 days off of work. I'm trying to solve that problem, right? It's how do you make even just treatment for your grandparents and parents or your elderly population smoother, simpler? That's kind of really where I think it's going to really pick up. It's going to be the younger generation realizing they can use this type of medication, this type of tool, if you will, or pathway to really take care of your loved ones.
Yeah, you really gave me a perspective that I didn't think about. Yeah, the fact that the older generation is not easily movable always.
No.
And it's a real problem for some people.
Movable, but also the
effort to move.
Charles was right. When you look at Bucharest, Cluj, or even the smaller cities have a number of pharmacies. But if you live in 50 kilometers far away from a small city, you don't even have ATM. Not to mention you
need to go
pharmacies around that. So you need to go
by train to your family doctor.
Correct.
But trains in Romania
That's a process
tricky.
within itself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's
so-
something else to discuss. So I understand what the patients does and how the journey is there. I understand the doctor. I had one curiosity. So you said that you can provide 24 hours. Is that because whenever I want a doctor, you can connect me with any doctor from time zones, or is because the doctors are available?
It's time zones as well as the way that we've hired and the way that we've incentivized.
Okay.
Right. So typically you look at a doctor, they're not really making a lot of money per hospital. Right. So you watch them, they're working in multiple hospitals trying to get to a certain income level. For us, it's you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to drive. We're just asking you to either, and you remember, not every single consultation type is a phone call or a video. A lot of consultation types are just a patient answering a questionnaire to hope to get an answer back on that questionnaire. So when you're looking at those, we typically call those asynchronous. An asynchronous is also known as a digital review, where there's a complex questionnaire that has a lot of conditional logic, and that conditional logic is all passed to the doctor, and the doctor is then making an outcome or a decision on that. For those, for instance, you can have your response in under 3 minutes. Right? The doctor is getting that, understanding exactly what needs to be done, and can have that done. But for us, at the same time, we incentivize them where it's like you're getting 150 per consult. And you can do as many consults as you'd like. If you do them after hours, for instance, we double that rate. So if you're going to stay on essentially like a late night shift at a hospital, you're making more money. That in itself has given us so many doctors that are just like, I'd love to. You mean I can just sit at home and do this? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You know, and that's the goal. It's that we don't limit you. A lot of the times, doctors, it's not that they don't want to work. It's just that I got to go home. I have my family. I have my children. Well, if my child is asleep, for instance, I have 3 hours. I could put in some work. I'm sitting home anyway. So it's that freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what's given us that flexibility to be able to service at much different hours.
Okay. So that's. You want to ask something?
Yeah,
on
no,
this?
I was thinking if you're looking 2 years ahead, and the platform is wildly successful, how would you define or you describe that success? In Romania, to be specific.
I'll tell you, for us, there's a very simple metric that we kind of have gone by over the years. It's really about a number of consults in a month. How many consultations are you really doing in a month? And those consultations don't have to, I don't really like to base it based on a consultation resulting in a medication. If that's the case in the metric you look at, then what you're really looking at is you're just pushing pills. It's not what I am. I really believe it's about the consultations. How many times can I get a doctor to speak with a patient and service them in any fashion that they would like? Typically, I would think if we can achieve in the first year, say 50,000 a month in consultations, spread across different practices, whether it's therapy, nutrition, just medical consultations in general, I think I'd say 50,000 a month is going to be my definition that this has succeeded.
50,000 consultation a month.
Correct.
That is a good metric.
That's what I'm hoping.
Well, we're looking forward to celebrate that.
We'll all go for dinner, I promise.
So when do we celebrate the first consultation?
The first consultation, any moment now.
Okay.
So might it be today?
I'm almost positive it will be.
Okay, so it will be a real moment. So I've read recently about a startup in Romania, Synaptic, I think it's called, and they have they developed a AI system that it's helping X-ray professional, X-ray interpreters, doctors that are looking on X-rays and MRIs to understand and spot cancer and to be able to isolate it more easily. In your vision, where do you think this type of changes in the medical field will be going towards? Will be, let's say, would be augmenting doctors or taking them step by step out of the picture?
So for a long time, this has kind of been happening in the U.S. Trying to understand where does AI truly fit.
Yeah.
In my personal belief, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, where it's going to really be, is not necessarily removing a doctor. It's going to be essentially giving the tools to a doctor to be able to perform their tasks either faster little bit more compliance, a little bit more assistance. The scary thing is that we do see happening, especially in the U.S. with legislation, is things are moving to the point where you will be able to essentially look at a history. If you have a long enough data pattern history of a doctor, how they prescribe for a certain medication in a certain population type. If this does get approved in the U.S., you will essentially be able to have doctors approved for a certain level of medication, like low-level medications, if you will, where you don't need the doctor. You can actually just have the AI sign off. You typically see this already because it's been happening in the U.S. for, God, I would say almost like 20 years now. There's something called a standing order. A standing order typically is done for, let's just say, medication for a patient who's dealing with cancer.
Yeah.
And they need that treatment at all times, and that the doctor may not be available. The doctor will actually create an agreement with that pharmacy, and it's called a standing order, where the actual doctor never needs to prescribe anything. The patient can go directly to the pharmacy and just get that medication because of the type of treatment they're on. They're now pushing that boundary to say, okay, well, why can't this work if we have AI just kind of approved based on that doctor's prescribing history for a low level of certain medications? Why can't we get there? That's very close. I'm a fan of it because I love to see AI grow and kind of learn. My fear becomes where it isn't perfect. You know, we all use ChatGPT, we all use DeepSeek. I think I've had to ask it sometimes 50 times over the same question just to get to some type of answer I'm trying to understand. So it's I fear that. I even though I know it would make my business thrive, I very much fear it. I really feel that AI should be used as a tool to augment the providers. I don't think we should ever really take out the human element from medicine. I think that would be the greatest risk and problem that we would ever create in a society. It's not saying that AI and technology shouldn't be there to assist, but there should always be a human involved.
There should be always a tool and not the decision maker.
Correct.
Okay. I'm curious about the thing. So do you have a preferred AI hype in the medicine field that you recently saw, or something that it was totally out there?
You know, it's going to be different because the one I'm actually such a big fan of, and they're still working on it. It's a company called Tandem from the U.S. Now, again, they're still struggling through to get where they need to, but they're tackling something that's very admirable. Now, this is not a problem you deal with here in Europe. So in the U.S., you have multiple insurance providers.
Yeah.
And this is why I think you would enjoy this is in terms of complexity. So you have all these different insurance providers, let's say about 12 to 15 of them. Every single one of them has a different form. Each one of those forms completely different.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is let's just say that you're a patient, you're coming in and you say you want to buy medication A. Well, medication A might be covered by your insurance, but you don't know. Well, the problem when you're trying to do direct to consumer, especially in telemedicine, is time, right? Everyone now lives by Amazon. If it's not there same day, you failed me. Right. So the biggest problem comes in and says, well, how fast can I check this insurance when all I know is the name of your insurance? I have to now find the form, grab all the pertinent data, grab all the information from the doctor, submit it to you, hopefully get an answer within the next 2-3 days without that patient getting so angry that they're waiting. That type of technology, I think, is going to be, and this is more for the U.S. market.
We don't have this
it's
problem
not going to
here,
be a problem here. I think that it'll be a different problem here when you start looking at how the states will do this, but I think it's still a much simpler solution here. But in the U.S., I think that to me is the most interesting one because they're using AI to essentially get those, they're called prior authorizations or PA process. They're trying to get that time down. And for where I think it's interesting, the play is because pharmaceutical manufacturers are actually the ones who truly benefit from this.
Because they're moving their product.
They're moving product, they're moving volume, but they're also not really always looking for the cash pay. So if you have a product, let's just say that the cash pay price is $50.
Yeah.
But if you're able to get that covered by insurance, that actual manufacturer can get $750. So the actual profit margin for them is much higher. The actual struggle to get there is increased by 4 to 5 days, 6 days, really depending on the insurance company you're dealing with. If you can solve that time, you become pharma's best friend.
Yeah.
As the complexity of it, though, is massive. And I think that's going to be somewhere I really see AI make some magical leaps. It's going to be interesting because I personally think like insurance companies are going to buy that technology up really quick. But that's where right now I'm rooting for someone to kind of succeed.
Are they open for investment?
I believe anyone in this part of in this business is always looking for investment.
Nice. So that is a good problem.
It's a good problem.
Yeah, it's a good problem to solve.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to have, but to solve for sure.
Yeah.
So I was curious about your other business that you founded in Romania, Curator. That
Yes.
I know that is active in the restaurants area, and I'm curious about the silver thread between the two businesses and what made you consider acting and activating in the restaurants business.
Well, okay. So interestingly enough, my first job ever was working in a restaurant making sandwiches.
Nice job.
Always loved the concept of the food space. Always wanted to be in the food space. Actually didn't really go into technology right out of school. Originally, I wanted to do was go to the Cordon Bleu Academy in France to become a chef.
Mm-hmm.
When I called my father, who again I come from a traditional Middle Eastern family, he hung up the phone in my face. Then I proceeded to get a phone call from my mother. How could you do this to him? We do business. And so that dream was
Painful.
It was painful, but it became a hobby.
Yeah.
And so I continued doing it. I always took like cooking classes and things of that sort, and moved and just straight into technology. Being in San Francisco, no matter what you do, it's something tech. You're in financial, no, you're in financial tech. You're in real estate, no, you're in real estate tech. I'd always wanted to do something in the food space. I was just very lucky that one of my oldest friends in Romania, when I came back, he'd already been in this business. So my two co-founders, Uday and Andrei, they had already been doing this business as a consultancy for a while, and they had hit a threshold where scalability was becoming a problem. They were delivering a great service, but they weren't able to scale. The silver lining was I come from a background in technology where I specialize in building platforms. Mm-hmm. And so when someone comes to me and says, I have a platform and it's about food, and I'm just like, perfect excuse. You know? So it felt like a very easy transition. I've learned so much from them on that. I've learned so much about also just technology in Romania. I no clue what Smart Bill was until I came here. Thank you, Smart Bill. Your API is wonderful. But it's been a learning experience. But the silver lining was really just when they were telling me their problem, I'd already built platforms to solve these problems. So it wasn't a very difficult concept to understand. And for the first time, it was something I was going to be passionate about. And so, not that I'm not passionate about medicine, don't get me wrong, but this is food we're talking about, you know?
It's a different level.
Different level, different risk. I'm not really worried about compliance.
Yeah.
You know, integrating with Glovo isn't going to take some huge higher government security risk. But it's actually been wonderful to build. A lot of complexities, similar to the medical space, where things that you would think are easy are not. And it's been... It's kind of I don't know, maybe it's like lit some fires in me again that I haven't had in a while to work on something that isn't medical. I've been in the medical space now for 15 years. And so when I got the opportunity to say build a platform that is based around food, I'll just say at this point, I've gained more kilos than lost since I joined. So there's a negative.
Can you describe very briefly what the platform does?
Of course. Typically, the problem that you run into in the food space, you have multiple platforms. Each platform has its own peculiar needs. Menu
like
management.
Glovo,
Bolt, Volt now in the market, Taz previously. You have these platforms. You have issues. So if you're running, let's just say, one location, logging into 3 platforms to make a change on your menu or to run a campaign or to get analytics doesn't really seem like a problem. Now you multiply that out. Let's just say a company like Luca. Mm-hmm. Luca has 100 plus locations. Yeah. You want to log in 300 plus times to make a single change. That becomes a cumbersome issue. Yeah. The human error rate goes through the roof. Getting analytics and data and understanding exactly, is this campaign working? Am I actually making the money I'm assuming I'm making on a certain platform becomes a task on its own. What we did was we built a platform that essentially integrates into all 3 partners, in this case now in 3 partners in Romania. We have the ability to, again, scale to as many partners as needed. But what it allows you to do is to manage your menus from one place, your campaigns from one place, your data analytics, reporting, everything from one location. So then that way, if you need to, say, make a change that would maybe take you 4.5 hours if you have 100 locations, With us, it'll take about 15 minutes, which makes a massive difference. The goal there is that to then really empower the restaurant to look at the things that they don't need to waste time on. The real strength really though comes in from Andre on our side. He's our CEO. His knowledge in the food space is why a lot of people pay for the consultancy more than the technology itself. You know, for us, you can come in for a small base package just for the technology if you have someone in-house. But it's the knowledge that he brings that really people are actually paying for. That tool essentially just makes everyone's life a little easier, but then it really kind of helps people focus on understanding the business itself. Doing delivery online is completely different than doing, you know, a restaurant brick and mortar. You have to think differently. Your campaigns have to be different. Photos matter. Descriptions matter. All these fine-tuned things, our tool allows you to do just at scale, but it's the consultancy portion of my Curator that really kind of makes the difference.
So after a certain size for a restaurant chain, Curator becomes a necessity and not...
In our belief system, 100%. There's a few large players in Romania that have had to custom build their own softwares. They love them and they hate them at the same time because it's a tremendous expense, tremendous just running cost. They have to keep up with all the new technology. We offer this as a plug and play for anyone that comes on board. We can have you up and running in less than 24 hours. We offer free demo accounts for anyone that wants to try it for 30 days. I personally believe that once you get past 5 locations, either you're hiring someone full-time or you need us. Or you're gonna struggle to grow on the delivery space.
How is the growth looking there? And what are the plans? Like, are you looking for investment?
You know, so our growth is actually, I'm very proud to say, I'm very proud of the team there. I'm not the one doing the sales.
Yeah.
So seeing how they do it and how they've grown is actually very impressive. We'd spoken at FOMO, I believe it was like 3 months ago in Romania. At that time, we were at 135 locations in Romania. Currently, we're about to surpass 650.
Wow.
So our growth is tremendous. The types of clients that we're actually now working with and growing and kind of expanding into has changed dramatically. We're no longer just targeting restaurants. We're also targeting grocery stores. We're targeting, you know, bookstores, anyone now who's on the delivery platform. It used to be something that we looked at as just, hey, delivery for food. The reality is the delivery platform now, if you look at it, has the same problem. You can get delivery for pharmacies. You can get delivery for flowers, stores, books, whatever you want. It's going to be the same problem. The software will allow you to do the same thing for anyone in the industry. So as we expand, and we'll be expanding into Bulgaria at the end of the year, yes, we are looking for investment because as we expand, we need to integrate with more platforms. Hopefully at the end of this year, we'll open up our first round. But our growth is honestly impressive. And it's very much outside of my hands. It's really hats off to the team on that one. They've really done a great job. But yeah, investment all day. Our offices are open. Just come knock.
Just come knock as long as you are carrying a suitcase full of money.
You know, or cashier's check.
Cash, okay. It's. I'm curious about now. What's one thing that, however advanced would the artificial intelligence get, that you would never automate in your life or in your business?
Yeah, this is going to be against every single thing that anyone says today. It's customer service. I'm a firm believer that customer service needs to be human. I come from a city in San Francisco where you cannot call a single person. You are sending a support email. It might be 2-3 days. If you've ever tried to call Facebook, it doesn't exist. If I become a software company that you can't call, I kind of don't really want to work with you. You need that human touch. I think the beautiful part about technology is that it can help us in so many things. It can help us expand. It can help us learn. It can help us, see perspectives of different countries, travel. It can speed life up in so many ways. Customer service is the most critical thing to have. A company called Zappos. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
I know Zappos. Yeah,
their customer service model for me has always been the best. They never ever took away the human element.
Yeah, they
You know,
emphasize on
they
the human
emphasized
element,
on it.
and they give an autonomy to the people in order to serve their customers
Exactly.
as their emperors.
Exactly. And to me, that's the one thing I would never take away. Now, would I automate certain things like ticketing systems, better phone systems, et cetera? Yeah, definitely there's ways to assist that, but removing the human element, removing the ability to just pick up a phone and call and get a human on the other line, not please press 1, leave a message. Well, no, just I'm calling you for a reason. Today, how many people actually want to speak on the phone? Very few. Very few. Most people just want to text. So if you're calling me because you need to say something. You need to have a conversation with someone. Why would I ever close that barrier? I don't care how big of a company you are. You got to be human. And I believe in that in everything I do when it comes to business and technology. Always remind yourself you're human. And the person that you're servicing is human. And they're going to want that human connection regardless of how great your software is. And so that part of it, I would never say remove. It's
Or automate or replace.
No matter how great AI, look, you start chatting with a bot and you catch in 5-6 sentences in that you're talking to an AI.
So today we are getting that we are speaking with an AI in 5-6 sentences, but probably tomorrow we'll be getting it in 30 sentences.
Correct. And maybe if you're, if they do it right, you might not catch it until an hour or two.
Yeah.
The problem is there's something lost there, and maybe this is too much for my, California hippie day kind of living, but I don't want to lose humanity. I don't want to lose that human touch and that human connection. It's I don't want us as a race to forget who we are. And I think if we keep putting boundaries of technology between us, it's going to create a bigger problem. Not really help. Everyone's going to think it's going to help. It's going to make business better. Is it going to make society better? That's the question. Is it going to make the human relationship, the human condition better? And I don't think it will, personally.
I think it will isolate us more and more because I'm looking at LinkedIn, for example, and I'm starting to notice a pattern. Yeah, like people who are commenting on articles, and if you're looking on their profiles, you are getting that they are commenting an article a minute. Yeah, yes. For the tens of days in a row. Yeah. So that is automatic content and AI content, and will be filled with AI content so much that the signal will be very, very, very difficult to isolate from the noise.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it like this, imagine how many friends you have, like true friends, right? Like from the days when you first got onto Facebook or Instagram, right? When you look at a profile that has 300 to 500, you're actually probably looking at a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see the ones that are like 5'10", that was created yesterday. They're trying to do something wrong. And then you have the other ones that are like, oh, that's 7,000 or 50,000, 100,000. Like, oh, they're spending a lot of money on bots. That's the sad part, right? So when you talk especially with LinkedIn, right? You look at LinkedIn. I used to go to LinkedIn because I wanted to talk to someone who's a professional, an expert in their field, and hope that I could reach out to them. I don't even know who's real anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying to me, this guy is a brand new guru of something, something, something. He has 50,000 followers. You're 26.
How did you? How did you do it?
I love you to death. I've been working my whole life. I'm 43.
I'm not a guru.
I'm not a guru by any means. So it's always a very interesting concept where it's like we're doing it, but you're losing. We're creating so much fog and war that we don't need.
Yeah.
It's odd. It's odd, honestly, I have to say.
We are going step by step towards a world where we will need an AI to filter the society and the communication around us.
Well, if you'd like to, my seed round starts tomorrow. I'm building it. No, I'm just joking.
That was good. You've seen that I've done nice one. Yeah. So this will be needed very soon. Probably Apple will be doing it because they're very well positioned.
True.
Yeah. Considering that also they have the biggest number of AI processors in the world because they have one each phone and each computer that they've put on the market for the last years. Yeah.
Any last question for our guest? Something that you'd really die for not asking him?
What's your next business that is on the back of your mind and you are considering to attack in the future?
Outside the one. That,
Outside, because I know.
So it's already actually started. It's in progress. It's in progress. So it's the concept is wish list. The name isn't finalized.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of put yourself in this situation, how many times do you say, I want to go do this, I want to go do that, or I want to go do something with you guys. We'd love to go on vacation together. Mm-hmm. It becomes a fleeting moment, just a word, a memory that never really actually comes to fruition. Mm-hmm. The goal is to actually create a system that integrates, and this is not necessarily a full standalone app, but an actual integration tool for your phone systems, where as you create the concept of what you want to do, and you can say, well, this exists, but it really doesn't really even look at it like this. A system that says, okay, I have my best friend, and we want to go. I've been telling him for years, I want to go to, say, Burning Man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I send the wish list to you. Now that's on both of our tracking. On that same tracking, it will track the best possible times to go, the best possible pricing to go, and when you two both accept, okay, we're going to do this on this date, it will then handle everything for you. It'll take care of the booking. It'll take care of the payment. It'll take care of all the automation you need to make sure that wish happens at the best possible time. But the goal of it is not just for that. It's a wish that for any wish you want. So it's whether you want to go to an event, whether you want to eat at a restaurant, whether you want to buy ingredients because you want to make a meal, whether you want to go see a movie, anything that you're looking for. The concept is to bridge people back together and not just have us do the hey, I'll catch you next week, buddy, and you never do. Or I would love to go eat at this place with you, but we never do. And because if you look at our lives these days, it becomes so busy. All we keep telling is, hey man, we should. But we never do. Right?
So mainly you want to reduce friction for making dreams possible.
That's all.
I'll join that because I like to go to a Liverpool game with a couple of my friends. So when you launch it, I'm going to put it there because we are struggling to find tickets and everything. So that'll be good. I have just one last question. And that question is if you can give us an example of one thing you automated in your personal life.
I have to thank Facebook for this one. I automated using Facebook to then pull everyone's birthdays so I could automatically send out happy birthdays with automated messages. I'm sorry for everyone that gets this. That doesn't think that they're not. I love you. I had to write the code to do it. I just don't have the time or the memory. But yeah, it's probably the most useful feature out of Facebook I've ever had. But you'll notice I'll never forget your birthday. But it's yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. Charles, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
Yeah, it was really a pleasure. Thank you.